Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today we will be talking about something that as marketers should be familiar with, and it's about UTM codes. What are UTM codes, why they're so important in your campaigns, and how to implement them correctly. I'm Miguel from Singlot, and let's get into it. So if you're familiar with Google Analytics and you use it as your main data gathering platform, you will for sure have heard about UTM codes. For those of you who are not so familiar, essentially what a UTM code is a small snippet that you add at the end of your URL that allows you to get much more precise information and breaking down the data sources that you receive in analytics so that you can see where your traffic is coming. The UTMs will allow you to make sense of all that data, and that way you'll be able to monitor much better and have a much more accurate picture of the whole process. Again, if you're familiar with Google Analytics, you may have seen a data source that's kind of the worst you can have, which is a direct none, and that is when Google Analytics doesn't know exactly where to attribute some traffic source, and you don't know exactly where this information is from. So in order for you to build a UTM code, there are certain parameters that you need to implement. Some of them are mandatory and some of them are not, but we recommend that you kind of use as much information as possible, and you can in a way see a UTM code as adding to your URL a name, surname, a nickname, and all the information that you might be using to create a much better and much more comprehensive URL. We're going to break down how it works. So the mandatory fields that you need to implement in your UTMs are the campaign source, the campaign medium, and the campaign name. For the optional fields, you'll have a campaign content and a campaign term. So the campaign medium is the first mandatory element that you need to fill in, and that's where you're going to have your different objectives. When we talk about the campaign medium, we're going to have a breakdown here, and then you'll choose the objective as we mentioned. So in this case, we're going to pretend that we're making a social media campaign, and we're going to do social. So the campaign source is where you define what platform you're working in. When it comes to the campaign source, as we mentioned, this is where we are going to input our platform, and for the sake of this example, we're going to pretend a Snapchat campaign. So here we'd write Snapchat. Again, it's important to write everything in small letters, because otherwise you may have some problem. And finally, with the mandatory fields, you have the campaign name, and essentially you input the name you want for your campaign. Remember to make it according to your naming convention, because that will help you define everything and have everything a bit more organized. Now we move to the optional fields, and here's where we start with the campaign content. This is where we normally add the ad set name. So once again, follow your naming convention and you'll be able to have everything organized. Finally, you have the campaign term, and that's where we normally have the ad name. And once again, it has to do with your naming convention. So input your ad name. Once you have filled in all that information, you'll have a very long URL, but don't be afraid. That URL is absolutely correct, but it's just simply tagged. So thank you guys. This is it for today's video. Thank you for all the support we're receiving. It's great to see that our content is getting there and you guys are liking it. So thank you for that. This video has been a bit more dense. The information is a bit more complex because obviously we're talking a bit more in technical terms, but we're preparing other videos to kind of complement what we're doing. Stay tuned for more, and thank you for being there. Bye.